Alright, so today we're going to try and get this old 1974, from what I believe, Opel GT to run. Hasn't ran in probably 25 to 30 years, so longer than I've been alive. That sounds like my kind of deal. So let's make this thing run. Alright, so the only thing I've done so far is just mess around with the electrical stuff. Originally, when I got the car, I threw a battery in it and absolutely nothing worked. After taking a jumper cable and just hooking it up to the starter post and then hooking that up to a car, everything worked. So the headlights worked, it even cranked over. And the only reason I didn't try to start it is because the whole engine is leaned over. Now, the person who parked this car so long ago removed the transmission, and they did that to rebuild it apparently, and they never put it back in. So it just sat unfinished for years, and so the engine's pretty much just resting on the first two engine mounts. So we're gonna go ahead and jack up the engine just from the back half, see if we can get it started before we try to put this car back together. So first of all, I'm gonna take out these jumper cables. I'm gonna grab the jack, I'm gonna slide it underneath. I'm gonna lift it right up. Hopefully those engine mounts are still good. And right about there is what the motor was supposed to be. So it's been off for quite a bit. So let's go ahead, and what I first want to do is probably disconnect the fuel line. That way we don't suck up any of the bad gas that's been sitting in the tank, if there is any back there. I'm going to throw some gas down the carb, crank it over, and see if she starts. I might pull out a couple spark plugs, spray some WD-40 in them, and kind of do a couple other things. But we'll time lapse past that, so we'll check it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Celica, which is actually parked right next to the Opel, and I'm going to park it on that side so that I can use the battery to jump start the Opel. And if we're lucky, it'll fire it off, but I highly doubt that. But fingers crossed, let's get this whole girl out. The other thing, hopefully this girl starts, and hopefully it doesn't also have a dead battery. But we'll find out. So concept's pretty simple. It's just like jumping a normal car, except there's no battery in here. So I just have the cables hooked up to the cables. And then we're just gonna take this side and just onto this side and hope that this thing, get that thing to turn. Now, you should never let your positive just hang down there. So I found this Krispy Kreme bag, not sponsored by the way, just chilling in the back from the last outing, and that girl. So we're gonna put her to some good use and just cover that right up. And let's give it a go. All right, so it turns out my jerry can is actually out of gas. So I'm gonna steal some gas from my old Dodge and use it for that. So a little bit of a detour, but we'll get through it. That ought to be enough. All right, so first we're just gonna put some gas down it. There we go. That ought to be enough for something. At least enough to flood it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, she don't seem too happy. Maybe just a little lower. Let's try that. She's turning. I have to check for spark. Let me go get my spark plug tester. So what we're looking for is for this thing to light up saying that we got spark to the ignition. I have a really strong feeling we don't, but you know, fingers crossed. Oh my gosh, it runs. All right, so we were just testing for a spark and it actually ran. So we're gonna put a little more gas down here and see if we can get her to, Jesus fucking Christ. Yes, that's perfect. But let's see if she'll start up again. And she sounds horrible because the exhaust is not even hooked up. I think she might need some more juice. Let me feel on these cables. Yep, the cables are roaring hot. So we're gonna let it cool down for a little bit. Alright, so instead of fooling around with these motorcycle jumper cables, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in it. So let's do that. Put you guys right back up here. There we go. Now this is going to be the trickiest part. It's trying to get this thing over in this area without breaking out my back. So it should be fun. Looks like it's gotta go in that way. Oh, it's gonna suck. I think this has gotta be the single worst location to put a battery. But I've seen worse. BMW. Alright, now let's see if she works. And we will go ahead and put just a little more. Oh my goodness. I think the check valve's going out on that. But let's go ahead and start a fire now. I just gotta figure out the fuel source now. And it doesn't look like it's drawing up any fuel from the tank, which is both good and bad. I'd prefer to have at least something, but it's probably gonna need a fuel pump. So I'm trying to rig the fuel to work with this, but I just took out the fuel filter and yeah, that's new. I haven't seen that brand of gas. I think it's like mud. Jesus. She runs though. Pretty cool. Alright, so all I did was use a water bottle, poked a small hole in the top, and just put some fuel right down this vent tube right here. On most carburetors, this vent tube goes straight to the bowl. So all I did was fill up the bowl. I gave it a couple test pumps, and the squirters actually still work, which is a really good sign. And it actually held an idle without me even touching any of the adjustment screws. So something tells me this is going to go easy. So step 2. We got to put in the transmission. I am missing a drive shaft. So this one's weird. It goes transmission, drive shaft, then torque tube. Torque tube is still there, but the drive shaft is missing. So I do have to track one of those down. But once it's all complete, I think it's going to run just fine. The owner actually put these tires on right before storage, so they're brand new. They still have all the little nipples on them. They're just really old. Looks like they're from 08 according to the dot date. But they're still soft, still holding air except for the one on the driver's side. So be sure to look forward to updates.